In the U.S., the acting director of national intelligence is set to testify today as part of a formal impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump. Joseph Maguire will be grilled about why he withheld the intelligence community whistleblower's complaint from Congress for weeks.
Well, Democrats say he was protecting the president. The House of Representatives launched the inquiry on Tuesday after the White House released a rough transcript of a controversial call between Mr. Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky.
The U.S. leader had pressured the then newly minted Ukrainian president to investigate Democratic political rival Joe Biden and his son. Mr. Zelensky has denied this.
Now, Mr. Trump has called the grounds of his impeachment a joke. But lawmakers, including Republicans who read the report, have called it deeply disturbing. Now, for more on this story, we're joined by our correspondent Simon Marks in Washington, D.C. Now, Simon, is Mr. Maguire expected to tell all that he knows?
I'm not sure he's going to tell all that he knows, but he's certainly expected to help paint a greater picture of the circumstances that, first of all, led to the delay in the whistleblower's complaint being handed over to Congress. Remember that the Trump administration is legally required to hand that whistleblower complaint over to Congress, and for a week it obstructed the transmission of that complaint to Capitol Hill. And Joseph Maguire, the acting director of national intelligence, is known not just to be the figure who did the obstructing, but the figure who was deeply uncomfortable about doing the obstructing on behalf of the Trump administration, and specifically the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr. So Democrats are going to pick all over the timeline relating to these events, and they will try to drive a wedge between the acting director of national intelligence, Joseph Maguire, and the president he serves, and possibly also the Attorney General, William Barr, who seems to be mired in this complaint from the as-yet unmasked whistleblower. But the identity of the whistleblower, that is likely to remain secret during the course of this hearing. The whistleblower has legal protections against government officials unmasking him or her, so it's unlikely in that regard that Joseph Maguire will tell us everything that he knows.
Simon, a bit of a difficult question for you now. What can we expect in the coming days, and how long could the inquiry take?
Expect the unexpected, Steve. Wait to see how many more shoes there are out there to drop. Remember that this whistleblower complaint is not based around one single conversation that the president had with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine. The White House has released the memorandum of one conversation in which it's absolutely clear that in a highly unusual way, President Donald Trump was saying to the Ukrainian president, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to dig up dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden, the man who could well be Donald Trump's rival in the 2020 election. So on that issue alone, the President of the United States is in difficulty. But as these Democratic investigations get underway, as these 6 committees of the House of Representatives start grinding away, as more allegations are revealed, as perhaps more documents are furnished, President Trump suggested yesterday he's willing to see another 3 or 4 telephone conversations put into the public domain. There will be more surprises in this process. Keep a very close eye on Republican support or the lack thereof for the president in the Senate. We do not yet know how thick the Republican ice is on which Donald Trump is skating in the Senate, where ultimately his fate could be decided.
Many thanks for getting us up to speed with everything happening in D.C. Simon Marks, our correspondent.